Hello, everyone. I should be live now. Thank you for listening. I'm going to reminisce just a little bit on the past 5 years when I first started offering online philosophy courses. It was actually exactly 5 years ago. Almost, I think, not quite to the day, but I think it was in mid-April. I'm not entirely certain. Um, it was already lockdown time. So the world locked down and I opened up with a course on leisure, otium cum dignitate, leisure with dignity, which had been a paper before that I had published with the International Yearbook of Hermeneutics, I think. And I had been recording that paper as video lectures for my YouTube channel in 2019. And then in early January of 2020, I started to put everything together as a course and also signed up with Teachable, which is the platform that I've been using ever since. The online platform that really, I have to say, works really well. Not cheap, so was a bit of a risk in the beginning, still is risky. Back then, though, I was still employed by the University of London, and I quit exactly a year later, sometime in April 2021. So the first course was, I think, decisive. It grounded Halkyon in scolaire, in self-sufficiency. We have since seen many students and teachers, and I want to thank everyone who has been involved so far. And of course, especially, I want to thank all the participants of the courses over the years. I think numbers don't matter, but I think it's about 500-600 at this point who have signed up. 500-600 individuals, that is. And there are quite a few people who have been coming. Well, some have been coming for 5 years, and quite a few though for 4 years. So, and I think the highlight, of course, was the last year I took a group of select students to Athens, and well, we read philosophy for 4 days in Athens with a view of the Acropolis. And this year we're going to Napoli, to, well, where they sing Siamo figli del Vesuvio, or also, as Benedetto Croce says, it's a paradiso. Is it going anywhere? No. There we are. Un paradiso abitato da diavoli. A paradise inhabited by devils. So we're going from Athens, where from the cradle we're catapulting ourselves into modernity. And this year, especially, I want to look ahead a lot more. The last year, we devoted a lot of time to the Greeks. This year will be full on modernity, hyper-modernity. There will be a weekend seminar on Italian futurism in a couple of weeks that you can still join if you want. Today, they'll be on the 29th and 30th of March, a Saturday and a Sunday. And we also have John Vervaeke teaching a new course on, well, what you could think of as an attempt of sort of scripting or writing a foundation for a future religiosity. The new course is on William Desmond and God in the Between. So that's open for enrollment as well. And of course, I'm going to teach beginning mid-April a course on Goethe. Goethe's Faust. I have here the translation by Stuart Atkins. I will be reading the German, of course, but this translation by Atkins comes recommended. I will be meeting, I think, 9 or 10 times in total. I think 9 times makes the most sense. We'll look at part one for the most part, but there will be one lecture devoted to the second part because next year we're going to read Faust part two. And as you know, so we started 5 years ago with this course on leisure with dignity, and we've since seen, of course, also many imitators. And as you know, imitation is flattery. So that flatters me quite a bit to see that much imitation out there. Sometimes the people who actually were part of this once and then took off. But, as the prime unmoved mover, as the Platonic source, imitation will always just be imitation. So join the source. Come to Halkyon. Join us. I've seen wonderful things happening over the years, and there will be many good things happening this year. I have a few people in Italy who want to teach courses, professors in Italy who want to come on and teach here. There's something going on in Italy right now, which I'm hearing from different people now, that apparently Italy is going through the same sort of cultural epoch that Germany went through in the 19th century and the early 20th century, and that France experienced after the war. So Italy is where it seems to be at right now. So looking ahead into the future rather than reminiscing too much about the past, this is, of course, an online first academy, and it will stay online for many, many years to come. This is only the fifth year, but it won't just be online. With the meetup last year in Athens, it was a bit of a founding moment, of course, as well. And I do want to continue that. And there will be at some point in not the near future, but over the next decade, either a moving summer school that moves around the Mediterranean, or actually in about maybe 5 to 10 years or so, a physical space where students can meet seasonally, so that it will be a sort of a mixture of both of online and three-dimensional, as John Vervaeke says, meetups where students come, let's say, over winter solstice, over Christmas, or over the summer, of course, as well. And this, again, might be somewhere in southern Italy, if, knock on wood, the Vesuvio does not actually break out this year. So I'm thinking I think the connection was cut out for a second here. So someone is saying, I can't wait to see your work on Goethe. So there will be some videos actually that will be coming out publicly on Goethe on the channel as well. There will be one on his notion of the Urpflanze. I went to see the Villa Giulia and the Botanical Garden of Palermo a year ago or 2 years ago, where Goethe believed to have found, at least to have seen, a pattern of the Urpflanze, the proto-plant or the original plant. So that's coming out in a few weeks as well, of course, in preparation of the upcoming Goethe course on Faust. Early enrollment for which is opening very soon. So if you'd like to get on the list, you should do so now, because I can imagine this one will probably go fast. We're beginning the Faust lectures, so there will be live lectures and seminars. The lectures won't be too long. There will be probably 25 to 30 minutes, maybe sometimes 45 minutes, followed by breakout sessions, which means that you can discuss what you've been reading and thinking about with in a smaller group, and then we bring it back to a bigger group. We'll meet on Sundays, which also allows us to read Faust's Easter Sunday stroll in very Catholic Germany on Easter Sunday, actually. Yeah, guten Abend, good evening, Mr. Walker. We do hope to welcome you back. Walker has, Rob Walker was there in the beginning, so with the Idler course and with Heidegger and a few others. Heidegger, of course, was the second one. This was a course that was based on my book. So in the beginning, it was still an attempt really to. And I remember telling in February of 2019 a couple of my students, because it's something I always liked doing, and I only had very few professors who did that, who actually took an interest in their students and invited them to their homes, which is what used to be normal. Obviously, with all the mania going on in universities, you can't even shut the door anymore during office hour, right? But it matters not. I often took students of mine to the pub, and we read philosophy on the weekend as well at pub. And I remember in early February of 2019 telling some of them that I will open, not want to, will open my own academy and will start online first. And they looked at me as if I were completely insane. So, which is good enough. I can understand why someone would think that, but it's not as though these things haven't been done before. So there have always been universities, colleges, academies, schools been founded, and so we just continue that tradition. Especially if you think of, for example, Roger Scruton once said that in the 80s, when he was in the former uh, uh, Soviet bloc to teach philosophy, he said all you need really is a book, is the text, is Plato, let's say, and readers, and someone who's guiding the reading. That's all you need. That's a university. That's good enough. So thanks everyone for listening. As always, most people happen to be on Twitter for some reason. That's really good to see. I will continue to say Twitter, by the way. Also, this year, we'll see the first publication of a book by myself, by Halkyon Press. It looks like this on the inside, right here on Eudaimonia. The familiarity of the world. Sorry, this is just a copy I ordered from Amazon to go over the many editing. I have still so much editing to do. It's really a lot of work to make it look as good as possible, and also to reduce the amount of just spelling mistakes, etc. That could be here. Not spelling, but just sometimes there's one space too much, etc. So it's a lot of work, but it's actually really a lot of fun, and I do hope to at some point maybe also publish other people. We did publish 5 years ago. We published Sean Burke's book. I can't find it now. He's a friend of mine. He's an artist in America. He wrote a sort of a psychological treatise on winter and summer, on how we in this our age could contribute to the continuation of culture. So here is another look inside the book. I'm going to probably read for members of this channel, which I already did earlier this week. Probably read from this book a couple of times until it's published. Currently, the publication date is set at the 7th of May. I should be able to get it out by then. It's written, it's all done. The only thing that's missing is that I really want to make this as perfect as possible. But because it's such a difficult argument, and there's a lot of Greek in here, and also so I can't really give this to just any run of the mill editing service. It would be utterly confusing, I think, for them. So, and any time, so this is why it's actually quite a bit of work, but such is. And sometimes there are just really weird things that happen also. For example, I just realized that what looks like an O in the document is a 0 when you print it. How does that happen? Can anyone tell me that? Anyways. So this will be out soon, and only as a hardcover. I have to say the quality is really good. It's very impressive how quickly this gets printed on demand, and how extremely good, I have to say, the paper quality is, and the binding seems pretty durable. So that will be the first of many. I want to, and I will, over the years, publish all of my lecture courses that I've given over the years, extend them into books. And every single time I do this, that when I taught the course, I had not a completely, but to some degree, a different view of what's going on in the Nicomachean ethics. So going over this again, writing the lecture first, the lectures, then teaching the course, and going back to what I had written and extending it and reading Aristotle again for the first time I've read it a couple of times before, and I read it also when I was quite young at school. I began to see that the word theorein or theorin, theoria, is not everywhere, but is very prominent. So this specific way of seeing, which is a beholding something in its being, or letting something be in its being, and this this is what Aristotle. So there's no sort of sharp distinction between theory and praxis. They go together. And this is what I try to show, is that there is conceptual unity in the book, in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics itself, but also that this sharp distinction that we've made between theory and praxis, etc., and also the vita contemplativa, the entirely world withdrawn life from active life, is not misguided, but cannot really be based on Aristotle, which all comes back again to, I think, also a mistranslation of the word scolaire, which is not leisure, but is holding ground. It comes from echein, which means to have, to hold, to maintain, but also to be. Could also mean, in a metaphorical sense, measure of sufficiency, scolaire, that is, or scoli. And we find as much also in Plato's Critias dialogue, where Plato relates that Athens really becomes Athens only in the moment when they orientate their nous in a sudden seeing towards scolaire. Yeah, we have the so-called economic problem of our age is scarcity, And all economic models that we have, and capitalism, communism, they don't differ that much, are based on that, and also work towards, one way or another, producing sufficiency. Now, if you know anything, if you have ever read Aristotle, you know that production is excessive. So there will never be a moment when anything that's being produced is sufficient. Aristotle already sees this very clearly in the Nicomachean Ethics. So we will never reach sufficiency. If you hadn't noticed, there's never been more shit in the world than today that you can buy for cheap, even despite so-called inflation. So there's never been more money in the world to go around. But it can't. There's no holding ground. It's a bottomless pit. This usurious non-world in which we have to live. So that's what this book addresses, but also what the work here, I think, overall addresses. Because something that has always bothered me about academic philosophy is that it's ultimately at this point also about production. You have to produce something that's currently a certain trend, and it's basically algorithmic writing. Yeah. So, thank you again very much for listening. If you'd like to join one of our courses, do so. Head over to our course page, which you find in the description of this video if you're watching this on YouTube. And also, though, do join the Faust course, which is going to kick off, as the kids say, in 4 weeks. Early enrollment is opening very soon, tomorrow, to be precise. And I think this one will go fast. And I want to thank again everyone who's been with Halkyon for the past 4 to 5 years. On to the next 40 to 50. Thank you. Good night.